A time is happening in our country in Washington, D.C. I guess a march that has been organized by many of the students at Marjory, Stoneman Douglas School in Florida, who had a horrifying school shooting. I'm very proud of these young people. These are high school age students, and I've seen them on television many times. They seem articulate, but they seem bent on somehow changing the course of our times. I myself was an artist in residence at Sandy Hook School, and I'm stammering because this still is so close to my heart. One of my most treasured photos is this one. It is me and the president, or the principal of the school, Dong Hoeksprung. This was taken not too long before she died in the shooting. Another treasured photo is of their librarian, Yvonne Check. Yvonne survived the shooting, and she and I are very good friends to this day. But we lost 20 children and 6 teachers. 9 teachers were shot, 3 survived, 6 did not. And those babies, those dear babies. And I think what breaks my heart was their age. They were just little people. The kids in Florida were older. It isn't known exactly what his agenda was, the shooter, but I think these days they don't even need an agenda. I have to tell you, since the Sandy Hook shooting, literally 3 days after the shooting, I was hospitalized and underwent open heart surgery. There is such a thing, my dears, as a broken heart, and my heart's broken over what happened there. I knew so many of those people, and those children are indelibly imprinted in my mind's eye. There was one little boy, Jesse Lewis, who was just this amazing little creature. I loved him because he was kind of a tough troublemaker, and those are exactly the kind of children I resonate to. But I take a piece of meteorite with me to a school, and I'd just done a program with them shortly before the shooting. I had it in my hand, and he walked by and put his hands on it and looked at me in the eye and says, "Lady, you know what I like about you?" And I thought, oh dear, here it comes. He said, "You look like somebody painted your hair on your head." He says, "And I like how that looks too." Vicky Soto, his teacher, was standing behind him, and she rolled her eyes, and they both chased off down the hall. He was wearing those LED shoes that literally light with every footstep. Within hours, they would be lying in each other's arms, dead. And I think of that little boy often. I think of Vicky. I think of so many of those courageous teachers who sacrificed their lives that day. What I have taken from it, I've been to Washington, D.C. fairly often, at first to decry guns, period. I've come off from that. I'm not sure that's the problem. I just watched a young woman this morning who was a Sandy Hook parent. She put it succinctly and perfectly. It is a combination of many things. Guns are one component, but there's so many other things. I will tell you what I'm concerned about as an author, not an educator, but as an author, and I visit probably 200 schools a year. I'm in more schools than any legislator will ever walk into in their lives. What worries me are these devices, the electronic devices, that literally are making it so our children don't even play out on the schoolyard. They're sitting next to the fence with this. I think, the electronics are absolutely amazing and that they connect us to the world, but what I'm afraid of is it's disconnecting us as human beings from each other. People have forgotten how to reach out to each other and hang on to each other's skin, how to look in each other's eyes, how to consider the hair and touch them. We have forgotten how to touch each other physically and how to communicate in a very real physical way. When I talk to people, I always have a hold of them because I think something chemically happens between my touch and theirs that goes directly to their heart, directly to their brains, that literally connects us in a way an electronic device can never do. So if I were queen, certainly the gun legislation is one thing. I do believe, I have to tell you this, that as an American, you have the right to own a gun, not an assault weapon. What on earth would you need that for? Why an assault weapon? So that would be where I draw the line. But I think what needs to be worked on more are the hearts of our children, to make them be gentler and kinder to each other. They're surrounded by television shows that's all about humiliating and teasing other people. It's all about having one-upmanship. There's nothing about uniting us and having us pull in the same direction. And when you think about most school shootings, the annihilator is a young man, usually a young man, who has been so teased he can't stand up. And let me tell you, you arm that kid, you've got a problem. So, you know, my point is we've got to teach our babies to be gentler. And I don't know if that means I don't believe in censorship. I don't think we should stop the televisions from doing what they do. But as parents, be careful what your kids watch. Be careful what they're thinking about. Every night, sit at the dining table with them and hear what their day has been, what they're concerned about. In my house, we had a huge, my husband was an Italian chef, so our dinner table was enormous and full of wonderful food, but this is where we shared all of our troubles and all of our woes and all of our triumphs, all of the glory, the dinner table. And I'm amazed, too, at how many times in visiting families in their homes, nobody talks to each other. I'm on the road. I sit in restaurants. I'll see a family of 5 come in. All of them are on their devices. None of them are talking to each other. And I look at them and think, for God's sake, folks, tomorrow that little girl's going to be 50 years old. My daughter is 50. When did that happen? My son is 47. When did that happen? But I will tell you this, I know their hearts because we've shared our hearts and our souls all of our lives. And I guess that is what I think we need to work on as Americans. The other thing I mean to say to the American school teacher, we live in a country that is not teacher-friendly. And I am telling you from my experience of those amazing souls at Sandy Hook, those teachers walked into bullets to save children that were not their own. And they orphaned their own children. But they stepped up to it to save your child. If that isn't heroic, what is? And we live in a country where these amazing human beings are trying to inspire your children hours a day. Do you realize the teacher your child sees once a day is with them more hours than you are? They need our respect and they need our support because, oh my God, I thought I knew what a hero was till I met those amazing people at Sandy Hook. And they are amazing, those people that sacrificed their lives, and those who lived through it pretty much have sacrificed their sanity. So please, moms and dads, reach out to your children, reach out to each other in front of them. Let them know how important it is to reach the heart, because the heart is what matters. I will tell you, Dawn Hoekstrom, I adored this woman. She was probably one of the few people on earth that was shorter than I am. She was fierce, tiny, and she bustled when she walked down the hall. But she adored and loved those human beings that were there in her care, as all of the teachers that day did and always have. She ran at the gunman and tried to grab the gun out of his hands. He shot her 3 times and killed her instantly. What breaks my heart, that voice and that beautiful smile, the likes of which are never going to be seen again. So I'm urging you, support the march that's going to Washington. Support your young people. Talk to the teenagers in your family. Find out what they're thinking. Find out what their hopes and dreams are. Because unless we get a handle on the brutality that is happening in our system, and I don't mean the school systems, I mean our whole way of life. It seems to me we've gotten violent, we've gotten careless, we've gotten depressed, And we've gotten to where we have pulled away from each other as humans. This is what needs to be worked on. We've got to pull together. And the longer I live, the more I realize that was Dawn's hope. She worked diligently in making her children in that school feel loved. And she lived in this wonderful community. I've met some of the parents, certainly not all of them. Glorious people. Should have never paid the price they paid that day. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is today, the day of the march, remember the children of that school and the children of countless other schools who've lost their lives. And again, it isn't so much the guns. We have to look at the person who did it and what literally drove them to do it. That's the part that's going to make the difference. Find out what's happening in their hearts and in their minds and in their souls. And no more teasing, no more one-upmanship, no more literally singling people out because they're different. To me, the whole beauty of life itself is that we're so different from each other. That should be something we celebrate. That should be celebrated. So Dawn, beautiful Dawn, God bless you in her name and in the name of all these children who lost their lives and those glorious teachers and those who haven't lost their lives, who every day go into a classroom and do their best to bring the heart and the world and all there is to the minds of your children. Support them and support this march and congratulate those young people. I'm very proud of them, as I am very proud of every teacher in the classroom in our country. If you don't know what a hero is, teacher, get out a dictionary, look up the definition. Stand in front of your bathroom mirror and take a look. You're looking into the face